And then I found a guy on Hinge so hot, it woke my hoo-ha up from a coma.
Oh my God.
But tragically, I didn't even swipe on him.
Why not?
I know. Probably because I have a hidden mental illness, of course, and my trauma said no. Places, everyone, it's showtime. Welcome to The Naked Puppet, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on all things sex, intimacy, body, and brains, yes, plural, and all of the messy strings in between. I'm JC, I'm backstage pulling all the strings, and this show is basically an unfiltered diary of someone who didn't know they were mentally ill, but is now getting a second shot at life. I repressed childhood trauma, I developed OSDD, which is a form of multiple personalities, and I spent decades dissociating through life without even knowing it. Growing up, I'd also interview myself in my head, kind of like a podcast, and turns out that was actually me talking to the different parts of myself. So in this puppet theater, you'll hear that conversation with my other leading lady. That's me. I'm on stage, JC, sharing all the juicy details you don't want to miss. And today we're diving into a dating app experiment to decide once and for all if I'm even capable of feeling any type of sexual desire. Ooh, interesting. But before we raise the curtain, a quick note. Today's performance discusses sexual experiences, dissociation, and the impact of childhood trauma. If any of those topics are at all triggering, please take care of yourself and step out of the theater if you need to. The door is always open if you want to return. Yes, and if you're watching the visual version over on YouTube, please note that some scenes have been cut or censored to comply with platform guidelines. If you want the full, uncensored, unfiltered audio, you can catch that anywhere you listen to podcasts. And I will leave some links in the description below so you can click directly on those. But all right, the stage is set, the spotlight is warm, and our leading lady is in position. JC, are you ready to swipe right on some dating apps? Not quite, because it was a whole ordeal even creating the profile first. Okay, you're right. Let's actually back up a little bit more. Why are you even going on the dating apps now? Okay, so I haven't been on a dating app since pre-COVID, so like since 2020.
Okay.
And back then, I actually really enjoyed being on a dating app for different reasons. I kind of liked the validation and having like attractive people know that I was pretty. I also had just moved back in with my parents after ending an 8-year-long relationship. And so this was the first time I was like chatting with boys and flirting with them and just kind of like having virtual dialogue. And that was kind of new and fun.
Yeah.
And I also had some pretty good success because I did have some good dates from these dating apps. So in the past, I have like dating apps, but now, like 5 years later, life has changed a lot, and so have I, because I am now, I feel ready to go on the dating apps right now and kind of soft launch my romantic life again, but I'm kind of looking, I don't know, for a different experience, I would say. So then what are you looking for on the apps? Like, what's your goal? I don't even know. I feel like if anything, I kind of just want to see what's out there because I'm in my 30s now.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what kind of men are available. Like, am I in the era where they're all divorced? Are they single fathers?
Yeah.
Or since I'm in LA, are they all just failed actors or have their hairlines all retreated by now? And I kind of just have to take the best I can find. I kind of just want to see what's out there. And I'm not wanting to get into a relationship by any means, but I'm also not wanting to hook up. I kind of just want that in between, almost just like I want somebody to go on dates with and smooch, if that's an option. I don't think that's a setting on these dating app profiles. Probably not, no. But overall, I would say like I'm not even sure if I want to chat or date. I kind of just, I guess there's just no harm in looking. So then which app are you using to start your looking? So I signed up for Hinge, and I'm curious to know what everybody else thinks. If you guys are on the dating apps out there, please let me know what's a good one, because prior, when I did all the dating apps, I only ever did Bumble. And I liked that one because it was female first. And like the woman has to be the one to respond first and match and start that conversation.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a lot of work. Like, I feel like now to the point where I'm like, you gotta message me. Like, I'm almost at the point where you gotta knock down my door and ask me on a date if you want to get me out of this apartment. So like, I don't want to have to do the dating apps where I have to do all the work. And so I didn't want Tinder because, again, that to me, I still have the stigma that it's very hookup focused. So I don't know. Hinge just seemed like the next best option. Okay, so we sign up for Hinge. Can you give us a sneak peek at your dating app profile? Okay, so I actually got a lot of help for my dating app over on TikTok. I asked my followers to help me set this up. So make sure you're following me at JCAaron_ so you can, I don't know, participate in this in the future. Go follow. But I started off with a smiling photo. That was a big one. I didn't know which photo to start off with, but I feel like this one gives off really good energy when I'm smiling.
Yes, cute.
And then my next photo, I'm natural with my glasses on and no makeup. It's terrific lighting, but boys can't tell the difference between good angles and being all natural. So I wanted to show them what I look like without makeup. I have a silly photo where I'm making a funny face at a shark, just to show that I have a sense of humor.
Love it. Okay.
I have a cute photo where it's a soft smile, but I look like mysterious and demure.
Okay.
And then I have a soccer photo where I'm drinking a michelada by the soccer field to show that I do drink alcohol and I'm a good time. Now, I did struggle with the prompts a little bit, and this is another thing I asked TikTok to help me out about. But my prompts were, the first one I said, what if I told you that I'm my league's reigning fantasy football champion?
Oh, I like that one.
All right, you guys, you heard it here first. That's not exactly true. I actually lost last year.
No.
But I have won in the past. But I have had this on my dating app since, I guess, 2020 when I was on the dating apps because I want to show them that I like fantasy football and I'm good at it.
Okay.
Last year, I wasn't that great at it, but they don't need to know that. No, it shows your interest. I feel like that's fair. Okay, what's the next prompt? The next prompt that I have is that give me travel tips for Germany. I'm going to Oktoberfest next week.
Fun.
So, I don't know, just wanted some more travel things there. And then my most irrational fear is, here's something you guys didn't know about me, is ostriches. I'm sorry, but birds shouldn't be the size of dinosaurs.
Oh,
I stand by that. I hate ostriches. I also don't like parrots. I don't like that parrots can talk. I also hate shoe-bill storks. I think that's what they're called, shoe-bill storks. I don't like big birds, basically, or birds that do anything too human-like. So those are some things you didn't know about me. So with this profile, I kind of just wanted a mix of like, I'm fun and silly, but also pretty, and you should take me out sometime. I like it. You've got a good mix of everything of your personalities, I guess plural. So I'm feeling it. I like it. So then what are your settings set to? Okay, so this is actually pretty important. Right now, I am only swiping on men. Now, you guys know I'm a bisexual, but I'm not ready to face my attraction to women yet.
Oh, interesting.
Because I know I would U-Haul it. I absolutely believe I could fall in love with a woman right now because I am so much more like emotionally stable and I feel safer with women. And you guys are coming to understand that my system is all about safety. And I feel like with a woman, it could be a lot deeper, a lot faster. And I'm not ready for that. I'm not looking for a relationship.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I just don't even set your settings to women because we're not ready for that. We kind of just want to explore our attraction to men because they're the ones who have historically triggered those feelings of unsafety.
Okay.
And so I'm only doing men, and I am only doing men kind of within my age range. So I don't go too old. I think I only go like maybe 6 above, 4 below. Like I kind of like people within my own age range. So sorry to all the zaddies out there. It's just not my style. So even though I don't quite know exactly what I'm looking for, that's kind of like what I set it up as to at least start perusing. Okay, that's fair, just to at least see what's out there. So then you got your dating app, you started your profile. What happened when you finally got to swiping? So actually, before I even got to swiping, you guys, I got so freaking overwhelmed with getting liked.
No.
And not in a way of like, oh my God, I'm so hot and beautiful, like everyone wants me. It's that when you're a new profile, like they do kind of feed you into the algorithm and you start getting a lot of likes in.
Oh, okay.
I struggled with it because that people pleaser part inside of me just absolutely got activated.
Oh.
I also think I was getting overwhelmed because back on Bumble, you had to mutually match before even knowing if they liked you or not. With
Right.
Hinge, you get sent all of the people that like you before you even see their profile. So like I always had notifications and I had to turn them off because I'm like, wait, like I haven't even decided if I like you or not.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go through like all of my likes and swipe yes or no before I even got to like my main feed. But where the people pleaser part started kicking in were these things called Hinge roses. So Hinge has this thing where you can send somebody a rose where it's something where you have to pay money for, or you only get like one free one a week. So essentially when I would receive a rose, that's somebody paying money to tell me that they like me and get in front of the line of all of my likes.
Oh.
And it made me feel bad because I carried this guilt and I felt all this pressure to respond because I'm like, oh, like, they spent money to say hi. Like the least I could do is say hello back and then ghost them.
No.
And I was struggling so much with that. And then there were other times where people in my likes, they were sending me very thoughtful messages or messages where they clearly took the time to look over my profile and try to start a genuine conversation. And so I felt like this obligation to reply to all of these people. And again, I'm not even in my main feed swiping yet. These are just people who have already expressed interest in me. And so I was getting so overwhelmed and carrying all this guilt that I literally had to have a whole ass therapy session for it before I could even get to swiping on my own.
And what did your therapist say about all this?
Okay, so my therapist had to give me affirmations that, JC, their choice to spend money to say hello to you is their choice, not my responsibility. And that I can say no now because it's kinder to reject them up front than to drag things out and break their heart later. And that I'm not the bad guy for saying no. And so I had to let go of this bad guy guilt because that was the only way for me to get what I wanted in life and to start swiping freely.
Interesting.
And I kind of really had to internalize that and go, you're right, I don't even know these people. And then I realized once I was able to talk to that part, because again, it ended up being a lot of parts work, I had to convince that part of like, girl, you don't even know these men. Like they saw your face on an app and said yes, you don't have to say yes back. And it felt so silly, but it was something that I had to overcome before even swiping on people, which is, it feels insane to say.
It's not insane. I mean, you've told us about these kind of patterns, but kind of interesting it took you so long to even get to swiping because once you overcame that, then did you go swipe crazy?
Not exactly, because I still fell into some old patterns.
Patterns? Like what?
So instead of people pleasing and just swiping right because I felt bad, I started swiping yes on men who felt safe. I started swiping on the people that I'm like, oh, they seem fun, like they're cute, and they seem like they have good energy and they could make me laugh, but also that they're somewhat attainable, that, yeah, I could see this being like a mutually beneficial match. But then when they would message me, I would like audibly groan. Like I would get that notification, like one new message, and I'd be like, oh, this guy? Like, oh, it was like I wasn't even excited to talk to them.
Wait, why not?
I guess I just kind of realized I wasn't actually attracted to them. I don't know if it was physically, sexually, or just all around, but it started feeling like, oh, these conversations feel like chores. I'm not having that much fun. My notifications felt like tasks on my to-do list rather than butterflies in my tummy. And I literally kept thinking like, oh, sir, I'm not even emotionally available enough to be annoyed at you right now. Like that's how much I don't even want to participate in this. And so I kind of started questioning, then what am I looking for on the apps? Like I feel all this pressure when I'm swiping. I don't even like the people I'm matching with. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, because what do you think it was that you wanted?
So again, I went back to the idea of like, okay, maybe I'm looking for a smooching buddy. Like I don't want anything too serious in a relationship. I don't even want a friends with benefits because I'm not quite ready for sex yet. I like literally the ideal situation was some type of slow burn, friends to lovers situationship type thing. And I realized that for that specifically, none of the men that I was actually swiping yes on even fit that.
Well, why not? I mean, they checked a lot of boxes, right?
Oh, for sure, because I feel like a lot of these men, they were like relationship material. Again, that's the type of people I found safe. Like they were attractive enough. They were charismatic. I meshed well with their hobbies. But then I questioned like, okay, am I actually attracted to them? Looking at this guy's profile without any information on his energy or his hobbies, is he hot? Or am I just, again,
running him through that filter for safety. And I realized, if I met any of these people in person and had a conversation with them, would I even want to go on a date with them? Probably not. And I don't know. I just didn't want the energy or work required to even think about that.
So then what were you really looking for?
So I think I really just wanted to look at some hotties. And I just kind of wanted to just look at people and go, JC, are they hot?
Okay.
And I started realizing that a lot of people that I thought I was attracted to, they weren't even passing my best friend test.
Okay, what's this best friend test?
Okay, so all of my best friends, they are supportive, of course, but they think I'm a total catch. Love you guys.
Of course.
They think I'm a 10 out of 10 and I deserve the world.
You do.
And they also kind of all collectively agree that I have heinous taste in men. And I do not agree with them, I will tell you.
No.
Because here's a perfect example. So one time I was at a party with two of my besties, and I started chatting up with this 6'4" handsome basketball player.
Okay.
And he was so, visually attractive, but he was kind of boring to talk to. Like, I remember thinking like, oh my God, he hasn't asked me a single question. I'm not having fun.
Yeah.
So then afterwards I go and I start chatting up with this, he was like a short Jack Black type of character. He was fun and he made me laugh and he was like asking me questions and I was like lighting up talking to him.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
After talking to him, I'm thinking like, oh my God, I love the way his eyes crinkle when he smiles. And he just has such a great laugh. And I love the way he runs his hair through his fingers. That's not right at all. His fingers through his hair.
That's right.
And so at the end of the night, my friends were like, oh, did you give your number to the basketball player? And I was like, no, I gave it to that guy. And they were like, the gremlin? They were horrified. And they were like, JC, why would you give your number to him? And I was like, well, I don't know. I guess I didn't realize that for me, attraction was energy first. Then I find physical things that I love about him. Because as I was thinking about it, I was like, no, I think the Jack Black guy was hot. And they were like, JC, but would you want to go home and his brains out?
Oh.
And I was like, I don't want to do that with anyone.
Yep.
And so I guess historically what I'm trying to say is that I never even considered sex as an option when it came to like a man. And so my attraction was filtered through like this personality and this connection, but it wasn't passing my best friend test because they would look at these potential suitors and go, JC, you cannot go home with that man. We cannot in good conscience let that man inside of you.
Okay, but you at least feel physical attraction, it sounds like.
Yes, and let me go on the record saying I've always been physically attracted to anybody that I've liked or I've dated, like especially in my relationships. I think that they are so physically attractive and like I do love their faces and I feel like their energy and their aura just amplified it.
Okay.
But
yeah,
as I'm running this experiment, I'm realizing maybe I don't have sexual desire. I have physical attraction, but not that sexual desire. Because I've never quite experienced that innate urge to just bed somebody based on their face and their body.
Yeah.
And so as I'm going through all of these changes, I'm starting to feel the curiosity of like, wait, am I capable of feeling that now? Maybe I can use these silly little dating apps to kind of explore that.
And the experiment was using this friend test?
Yes, so I had this friend test, which I also didn't even finish explaining, but essentially the friend test is not only in person would my friends think that this person is hot and approve, but also if I were to show them a photo, would they think that this person's hot, especially like on the dating apps? And, historically, my friends would go, no, JC, no, that person's not attractive. But that's kind of like the best friend test. But I also have the bar test.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
So the bar test is if I saw a man in a loud and crowded bar with no ability to hear a conversation and kind of just visibly looking at him, would I think he's hot enough to just make out with? And if he passes that test, then I kind of figured, I guess that's sexual desire.
Okay.
And if a man on a dating app passes both this bar test and the best friend test, he is enough of a candidate for me to swipe right.
This all sounds like one big experiment, like you've mentioned, but with this bar test, the best friend test, what exactly is the experiment that you're running here?
Yep, the experiment became if they passed both tests, and by those tests only, I would swipe right. And swiping right was a signal to myself, my brain, and my nervous system that it's okay to just feel physical attraction and potentially sexual desire without all of those safety nets. And so the experiment kind of began.
Okay, I love it. So the experiment begins with your best friend test, your bar test. Now, I feel like I've been waiting for this part. Now, did you finally start going swipe crazy?
Still, no, not quite yet.
You're killing me.
But then I also felt like the profiles kind of started blending together where, a lot of these men use the same prompts and answers. Like everybody knows where to get the Mexican food and everybody thinks it's a green flag that you have TSA pre-checked. And so like, despite LA's diversity, the feed felt very like samey. And it's like, because they were all the same, I wasn't attracted to a single one, if that makes sense.
A single one, like none, zero, nobody was catching your attention?
I was swiping on a total of 0 people, you guys.
Really?
So much so that I literally had to Google, does Hinge punish you for saying no too much? Because cue my panic spiral. I was like, oh my God, like I have these new eyes, but I'm having 0 attraction. Like, am I broken? But more importantly, is Hinge gonna stop pushing my profile because I'm clearly too hard to please?
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of, gave me that brief panic of, okay, is something wrong with me? And as I was doing my research of like, is Hinge gonna suppress my profile? Essentially, the advice was you have to say yes to some people so that Hinge can calibrate your algorithm. Like maybe I'm saying no because it doesn't know what I like. And so then it became, okay, I have to start swiping yes on those almost good enough boys to teach Hinge because it's like I overcorrected and started saying no. And then it made Hinge fritz out and I was like, okay, I'll start saying yes to some of those people. So begrudgingly, I fed the machine. But even then, it's like I had to study these men's profiles in order to even consider giving them a yes.
And what do you mean by you had to study their profiles?
Oh, it's like I couldn't viscerally decide if somebody was hot or not because this like buff gym rat would pop up and I'd be like, okay, he's hot, but he's probably like way too into the gym and spends most of his time there. And honestly, he probably doesn't even like my body type because I don't work out to that level. So I don't know about this.
I mean, you're just trying to figure out if you find him hot. You're not marrying his macros.
Right, but then it's like, well, do I actually find this body type that hot? Maybe not, swipe left. Then there'd be this other guy where he'd have this terrific smile and like so much lightness to his eyes that I'd be like, oh my God, that smile is kind of hot.
Do you like smiles because they feel safer than abs?
I don't know, but I like that one better, so I'll swipe right on that one, I guess.
Okay.
And it was like, I had to distinguish hotness from like this future tripping where I had to catch my safety filters in real time. And I was really starting to like use this experiment to learn my preference signals because again, when I could see that happening of like, oh, he's probably not gonna find me attractive, can't swipe right. It's like, that's not the point of this. Do you, JC, look at this person with your own eyes and find him sexually appealing?
I don't know. So then all of this was to just feed the algorithm still at this point?
Yes, they were defeated swipes at first of like, okay, Hinge, here's a clue of what I might be interested in. But a pattern actually did emerge, I will say that.
Ooh, one physically?
Yes, a physical pattern. And any guesses as to what the unifying physical trait of these men that I was interested in is?
Ooh, well, I would guess, but I am you, so I already know the answer.
I guess you're right. I apparently don't care about height, race, abs, or hobbies, but if that man is baby-faced, I am not interested. Scruff me up. You need a goatee, a beard, a mustache, something on your face. That apparently is what is getting me going. And so that was kind of nice to discover that in fact is not a guarantee, but definitely a unifying factor of me saying yes to these men's faces.
So I guess we do love a little scruff, but I mean, did you ever find any of these people with or without facial hair? Did you find them hot? Like any hotties yet?
No. Okay, and here's where it gets interesting, you guys. Again, I was getting so defeated because I just wasn't finding anybody hot. And I wasn't swiping right on anybody that I was so jazzed about. And I, again, was Googling, am I swiping no too much? What is happening? But then you guys, I discovered this little stupid feature on Hinge. And it's called the roses tab. So how I described earlier is how men can send you roses. There's this little tab where how should I describe this? It's kind of like they keep the hot men in this roses category, and they want you to send a rose to them.
Huh.
And so essentially, I realized that they are taking the higher caliber of men, putting them in this category and going, oh, you like these ones? You have to pay money to say hello.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, these men, yes, these men are it. They are out of this world handsome. Yes, that guy passes the friend test. That guy passes the bar test with flying colors. It's making out on site. My lady bits were throwing confetti, being like, she lives. I can get tingles down there. Like, okay, these men are hot, hot, hot.
So did you swipe on them?
No, because those men weren't ever going to show up in my feed. Hinge was holding these top profiles hostage and putting them behind a paywall to nudge you to spend money on roses. So suddenly the less stellar roses that I was getting of people that I didn't even want to respond to, that made sense because I was being put in a higher caliber category for them, to the point where they had to pay money to say hello, but they were kind of a category below me.
Oh.
So if I wanted to get into the next echelon of hotness of potential candidates, I had to pay.
No, that's kind of messed up.
Right? Because I'm realizing, okay, cool, maybe I never lacked desire. I don't know, I was being served the wrong menu. Like I walked into a restaurant starving, and then they handed me the kids menu. And I'm wondering if I'm broken because nothing looks good. Meanwhile, the filet mignon is locked in the vault.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I get that these apps need money, they got to make a living somehow, but they were holding my libido hostage and I wasn't willing to pay up to get it back. Now, I will say again, these hottie McHotsons do pop up in your feed every now and then, but apparently, it's so sporadic that Hinge will reward you for staying consistent and kind of every now and then feed you one of them, but they only appear in your feed kind of few and far in between. Okay, but when they did finally pop up, are you swiping right that they finally passed all your tests? Yes, but then, again, I'm learning so much about how my own brain works. It cued this, again, internal roundtable of all of these safety filters that I couldn't get my brain to overcome.
Okay, tell me more.
This is what it sounds like when I'm taking an outer look at my brain. Here's what's happening. Hottest man I've ever seen pops up. He's too handsome. Say no. What? That's not a thing too. I'm hot. I'm allowed to say yes. Yeah, but hot people are boring. He's gonna have no personality. What? That doesn't make sense at all. Not everyone's an NPC. He might be a delightful person to hang out with. Yeah, but he likes hiking. We don't like hikes. We don't like the outdoors. We're outsidey, not outdoorsy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're not marrying his REI card, okay? Do we just find this guy's face hot? Yeah, but what if he expects too much? What if he's so physically fit that he doesn't find us physically attractive? Again, I'm just sending him a like. I'm not trying to marry this guy's hobbies.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it's like I come to and I realize I've been staring at this guy's Hinge profile for 10 minutes because I got into a dissociative argument with all of my parts, negotiating with my safety system over sending a heart button. It was wild.
That's crazy.
It was like my desire wasn't missing, but it was being muzzled by this committee of a mental disorder of lady parts in my brain.
Wow. Okay, we're definitely going to be diving deeper into this committee that you're talking about in Act 2. But for now, let's give our nervous systems a little breather, and we'll be back with our segment of Pop Light. So let's bring the curtains down for a brief intermission, and we will be right back. Welcome back to our segment of Pop Light, where we shine a spotlight on all things pop culture related to today's topic. And today, JC, you'll be playing our game of Pop Swipe.
Ooh, fun.
So basically, I'll be giving you rapid fire topics, and you will have to treat it like Hinge, where you swipe right if you're into it or left if you are not for it. Think you can handle it?
Oh, okay, I can do that.
All right, now we're looking for no safety filters, no overthinking, just your gut reaction if you like some of these various topics. And we're talking fashion, beauty, pop culture, a little bit of everything. But don't filter it through your system, just give us your rapid fire answer. So let's hop right into it with our first one. All right, our first category is going to be celebrities. So let's get started. JC, are you swiping left or right on Timothée Chalamet?
Swipe left on Timothée Chalamet. Timothy, he's like a little boy to me, like a little Victorian boy. And I'm kind of looking for a man. And he seems fun and has that good energy, but he's just not doing it for me. No on Timothy.
Okay, that's fair. Are you swiping left or right on Hunter Schafer?
Swipe right on Hunter. Hunter, she is an ethereal queen from another universe. She's like a fictional character that came to life. It would be an honor to be in her presence, that it would be stupid of me to swipe left. So absolutely swipe right on Hunter.
An angel on earth. I totally agree. All right, JC, are you swiping left or right on Paul Mescal?
Paul, yes, swipe right. I think he is physically attractive. I also think that it's weird. I don't think I've actually seen a single piece of media that Paul has been in. I haven't seen Normal People or Gladiator, but just based on his interviews and his face, I would probably, yes, swipe right.
Okay, that's valid. Are you swiping left or right on Pedro Pascal?
Ooh, hot take, but let me explain myself. I would swipe no on Pedro, simply because he probably wouldn't even be in my age settings for my dating app. He's a little bit older than what I'm looking for. I get he's a zaddy, but zaddies aren't my type right now. But I will say Pedro is my exact type of person. How I was saying last episode that my type is somebody that like people question if they're a little zesty or fruity, but they're not. That's Pedro. So he's my type if he were 15 years younger. But as he is now, no, I'm going to have to swipe left.
Okay, hot take, but I agree. Are you swiping left or right on Keke Palmer?
Keke Palmer. Keke is one of those people that, you know, my brain kind of stops me and go, it wouldn't work because we're both very similar. Like we have the same exact personality types. We're very like charismatic. Wow, look at me bragging. Like you guys, I'm just like Keke Palmer. We're basically the same person. No, but I think that it's like one of those like fire and fire type things. But I'm also overthinking it. Of course I would swipe yes on Keke Palmer. I would be the dumbest person in the world to not put my shot out there and hope that she would catch it.
Don't forget, we actually met Keke Palmer when we were a contestant on the game show Password, in which she was a host. So we kind of have that built-in rapport. So I'm just waiting for us to take it to the next step.
True.
All right, our next category is going to be beauty. JC, are you swiping left or right on laminated brows?
I am swiping left on laminated brows. I think it's so crazy how trends work because I loved the laminated brows trend when people were getting them. I was like, yes, I love that you can see every hair stroke on your face. But now I already feel like this is a trend that is getting outdated. It's like, why are you brushing all of the hairs up vertically on your face? Like you look like you got caught in a windstorm. So just weird how trends work. But as of right now, nope, I'm not into the laminated brow look.
Don't we have our eyebrows microbladed though?
Yeah, but it's kind of faded. It's faded, and mine were pretty natural. Okay, so give me a break there.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, JC, are you swiping left or right on Crocs?
Swipe right on Crocs, which is so funny because I don't own a single pair. But I know that if I got my first pair of Crocs, it will be a slippery slope. You guys, I love personalizing everything. That the gibbets, oh my God, I would have a different pair of Crocs based on each one of my multiple personalities. But I know it's a slippery slope and I'm kind of waiting for them, I don't know, maybe to sponsor me one day so I can get into it. But I love Crocs. I am a Crocs supporter despite not being a Crocs participant.
All right, JC, are you swiping left or right on microbangs?
This one's tricky. I'm swiping no for me. I don't think I could pull off micro bangs. You guys, I'm hiding a giant forehead under my normal size bangs. That micro bangs, it's gonna make me look like a giant Stonehenge block of a head. But I love micro bangs on other people. I love people with that alt kind of sense of style when they have straight micro bangs. Maybe that's what it is. Because I have curly hair, I can't picture micro bangs with curly hair. It kind of would just look like a mistake. But the people who intentionally pull off micro bangs, I am obsessed with. But for myself, it's gonna be a swipe left.
Okay, I feel like it's a very dignified answer. I can get behind that. Now, are you swiping left or right on velvet?
You bitch, you put this one here on purpose. You guys, I hate velvet. Not only am I swiping left, I am throwing my phone left and across the room. Velvet is one of those things to me that it's like nails on a chalkboard. My other thing is I cannot stand people filing their nails. The sound of that drives me crazy. I will punch you in the throat. Feeling velvet gives me that same itchy feeling like my skin is crawling and there are bugs for blood in my body. I hate velvet. It's a swipe left for me. I feel very strongly about that one.
Wow, you got pretty heated on that one. Let's see how you feel about this last one in this category. Are you swiping left or right on skinny jeans?
Skinny jeans, I go back and forth with this. If you asked me 2 weeks ago, it was a swipe left. This week I'm swipe right again because I feel like there's outfits where you can pull it off. Like I still love the look of skinny jeans with high heels.
Yeah.
Or again, people with that alternative style where it's like skinny jeans with Vans and you know, they look like a former emo kid. I feel like there's a time and place for it. And I actually have some outfits that I wear skinny jeans and nobody's going, oh my God, look at that millennial. She looks so outdated and old. I still feel like I look kind of cool. This week specifically, I'm swiping yes on skinny jeans.
Okay, well, now we're going to move into our rapid fire category of life and culture. So our first one here is, JC, are you swiping left or right on superhero movies?
Swipe no. I stopped watching superhero movies. The last superhero movie I ever watched was Avengers Endgame, and I was a huge superhero fan. I watched every single Marvel movie up until that point, and then I was so freaking disappointed in it. I feel like because of the Disneyification of Marvel specifically, they weren't killing enough people. Like, you're telling me they built up this universe for 10 years to defeat the baddest guy in the whole universe, and only like 3 of your main characters die? One of them was by suicide, one of them died of old age, and another one fell off a cliff. Like, that is not enough stakes for me that I was like, no, I'm out. And I know that they have more grittier superhero movies nowadays, but I think I just kind of like got fatigued by them and I don't care about any of these people anymore. That for me, it's been a left on superhero movies for quite some time now.
And that fatigue is real. JC, next question. Are you swiping right or left on espresso martinis?
Swipe right 1,000 times. Espresso martinis are my right now. I know that they're trending, but you guys, I am a huge coffee lover. And the espresso martini, it to me is like a classier Red Bull. I get it everywhere it's available where I'm not dancing. Otherwise, it'll be splish splashing all over the place. But yes, I am a basic bitch espresso martini girl.
Love it. Are you swiping left or right on Cybertrucks?
Find me anyone who is swiping right on these, except people that have Cybertrucks. Cybertrucks look like they were drawn by a child and brought to life by AI. I think they're hideous. They look like dumpsters. I don't think I am the minority opinion here. But you see them everywhere in LA, and I want to throw bologna and ketchup at them. Like, they're so hideous. Get them out of my face.
Yes, team ban Cybertrucks for forever. JC, are you swiping left or right on Labubu's?
Labubu's, I'm swiping no on. I didn't participate in the Labubu trend. I knew it was kind of this, micro trend that kind of blew up. I personally found them to be like weird little gremlin-y things. It just didn't interest me. I was like, are Squishmallows not cool anymore? Like, this is the new thing. But I will say I love it when there's that collective effervescence of the world where everybody just goes super hard on one niche thing for the moment.
Yeah.
But I loved that it was trending. I loved watching the unboxings. But for me, I never had one, wasn't interested in one, and I kind of think the trend is already dying. So swipe left on Labubu's.
And lastly, are you swiping left or right on tacos?
Oh, you bitch, you're also trying to out me on this one. Okay, time for me to make a big confession to you guys. I don't love tacos. In fact, I don't eat tacos. In fact, I don't even really like Mexican food.
What?
But if I can defend myself, I love whitewashed Mexican food. And the reason is that I need sauces and I need a lot of cheese. Cheese is my main food group. Cheese is my favorite food in the whole world.
Yep.
But like my Mexican food, it has to come with either a lot of cheese or sour cream or queso or some whitewashed runny sauce. That traditional tacos, when it's like just meat, tortillas, rice and beans. Like it's not wet enough for me. And so when I go and get Mexican food, I will eat traditional Mexican food, but I'm like an enchiladas girly or a quesadilla person.
Or a Taco Bell person.
Yes. Unless it's a cheesy gordita crunch with that layer of sauce and cheese in between the hard shell and the soft shell. I'm sorry, you guys, that you had to learn this about me the hard way, but I'm getting real with you, and I hope that you still love me for it.
But now you guys should understand why I love Taco Bell so much, because they whitewash their Mexican food with all kinds of crazy cheese and sauces, and that's what I like. So I agree with you. All right, our last category is going to be first dates, because you are swiping and potentially dating. So JC, are you swiping left or right as your first date for hiking?
Swipe no. I don't want you to see how out of shape and asthmatic I am on the first date. Again, I am outsidey, not quite outdoorsy. I don't want to have to pretend from the beginning that I love hiking. I don't. I'll go hike to the Hollywood sign for photos, and that's about it. Don't take me here on a first date. Please, I beg you. My sweat is not attractive. I will be complaining the whole time.
Okay, and would you swipe left or right on dinner and a movie being your first date?
Is there like a half swipe? Because swipe right for the dinner part, but swipe no for the movie. If you go for a movie for a first date, you don't get to know the person. You don't get to talk at all. Maybe if you see the movie and then go out to dinner and discuss it, but like for a first date, I'm iffy about the dinner, because I feel like that's a very high commitment for a first date unless you already know somebody. So I guess with that in mind, swipe no on dinner and a movie. Like, yeah, it's just too high commitment and not enough time to talk.
But would you swipe left or right on a picnic being your first date?
Swipe yes to a picnic. And you guys, I'm going to drop some gold on you for the best first date that you could have and that I ever had, because I made it up.
Okay.
Okay, so I was going on a date with this guy and I said, meet me at the grocery store. And I said, okay, let's recreate our childhood lunch boxes, like what we ate in elementary school, and we'll bring that on the picnic. So we had to pick a beverage, a dessert, and a main meal.
Oh, I love that.
And it was so fun because it's like we bought Capri Suns and Lunchables and Cosmic Brownies. And it was very nostalgic and fun and silly, but also cheaper and very low stakes, because then we just went to a park. We ate our Uncrustables and Ding Dongs. And it was very, again, low effort, low commitment, but still super fun and memorable. So try that for your next first date. I would absolutely swipe right on a picnic.
Solid ideas for anybody looking out there. Now, would you swipe left or right for a bowling first date?
Swipe no on bowling, especially if it's only two of you, because one person has to be doing the action every time. That it's a lot of standing and sitting. It's like a freaking Catholic mass. That it'd be fine in a group setting where you have time for other people to go and bowl while you start cozying up to each other. But bowling's a no. Mini golf is a better, like more fun activity, because at least you're both always doing something. Just doesn't work the same with bowling, so I'm swiping left.
Okay, and last question. Are you swiping left or right on a coffee first date?
Swipe right. This is a classic, reliable, go-to first date option. Low commitment, low money. Just go on the date, test out if there is a connection, and then you could do all these other options on the second date. But coffee is the perfect kickoff to any blossoming first date relationship.
And not just because we love coffee and we're addicted. So I agree. But that's a swipe right for coffee and an end to our pop swipe. So JC, thanks for braving the rapid fire swipes, and consider it practice for the real thing when you get on these dating apps.
Yes.
But for now, let's put those phones down and dive back into Act 2, where we're going to be unpacking what you're even talking about behind those swipes, this committee of parts, and all of those defense mechanisms you've had to battle in order to determine if you have any sexual desire. So picking up kind of where we left off, you mentioned that you had all of those crazy blockages from even deciding if you thought a man was merely hot. Why do you think that even is?
So I was starting to learn that this was a parts issue. So again, catching you up if you're new to the podcast, I have OSDD, which is a dissociative disorder that is also characterized by having these quote unquote multiple personalities, or fragmented senses of self, or as I like to call them, my parts. They're basically all of the different ladies in my brain that got stuck in time and built their own little defense mechanisms. And so each of my parts had protective systems, especially when it came to just determining if a man was hot or not. Because some of them would outright reject attraction to men that were like too attractive, because handsome equaled a lack of personality, or that they were entitled because they're so hot that they don't have to try with you as hard because it is a privilege for you to even be talking to them. Or that hot men had this expectation that they are going to be desired, that they aren't going to give you that same type of desire in reciprocity. So I immediately felt indebted to their beauty by just looking at them, that was unsafe and I couldn't say yes. And so I started realizing, oh my God, I have desire trigger alarm bells instead of excitement and, my lady bits tingling and a little bit of, that sexual desire. Because it's like, if I freaking had $1 for every time I stared at a man's profile like it was a trauma minefield, I could probably afford Hinge Premium and to send all the hot men those roses.
Oh my God. Wait, so why do you think that feeling sexual desire was such a threat to your system?
So what I learned is that desire, it lights up danger signals in my nervous system. That trauma taught me that wanting or being wanted was unsafe, because for most people, desire equals curiosity and pleasure. But for me, again, it was that hypervigilance, that bracing for impact, which then causes me to freeze and shut down. And so this whole time I'm like, well, I'm broken. I'm saying no too much. Like, why is it? I wasn't broken. Again, all of this comes back to just being in survival mode. And I started to see that this buried natural desire was just under layers and layers of these automatic protection filters that I had.
And also physical layers too, right? Because you haven't even felt your body until recently, right?
Nope, because again, my pelvic floor was numb for years. And so only now am I starting to feel physically these new sensations that were foreign and hard to identify. And so all this relearning of desire wasn't just in my brain, but it was like in my body, because I had to connect my body to my brain, to my nervous system, to my parts. It's a lot. And it was kind of overwhelming.
It sounds like it. So then how did you overcome that?
It's all parts work. I've talked about this a little bit over on my TikTok when I talk about going split screening with my parts. So if you want to know more about the process, go check it out there.
At JCAaron_, if you guys want to follow along.
But how it works is that when each part kind of puts up their little defense mechanisms and says, no, that's not safe, I have to talk to that part and I have to ask them, why do you feel unsafe? Why do you feel that way?
Okay.
Then once they tell me their story, I reassure them, let them know, hey, you don't have to feel that anymore. Like, that's not the case anymore. And then you have to reintroduce yourself, because your parts, even though they're in your system, they may not know that it's me. Hi, I'm older JC and I'm in control now. And so I have to introduce them to myself. I have to ensure that they're safe with me and that I can take it from here, because they don't need to hold that role anymore. They don't need to put up those protective filters. I can handle it. And then from there, you give them a new role.
What do you mean by a new role? What types of roles are you giving these parts?
Yeah, so that part that feels indebted to their beauty, instead we can say, hey, when it comes to it, you can be our reciprocity checker, where if you feel like your boundaries are being crossed or your needs aren't being met, just kind of check in on that and make sure you aren't being indebted. But we're not even talking to these people yet. We don't even know if that's the case, so don't worry about it for now.
Yeah.
And then I have the parts that brace for any type of threat. And so instead of being that type of protector, I then reassign them to be sort of this nervous system soother, where I redirect kind of any of their hyper awareness of attractiveness into more so grounding myself and just reminding myself to check in. Because even in person, when I'm talking to somebody, I'll tense up and brace and be panicking. Now that part will just remind me, hey, take a breath. Oh my God, already that's done wonders for my nervous system. But hey, check in with yourself. Like, do we feel safe? Is everything fine? Yeah, everything's totally fine. Okay, we're cool.
Wow, and it sounds like your parts have to learn to trust you, which is all part of the process. So then what do they do now when you want to swipe right?
So I really just had to do a lot of parts work where I had to set them up so that they could set boundaries in relationships, in dates, in actually having conversations with people. but that they can step aside when it comes to just using my eyeballs to look at a man while swiping.
Oh, okay. And so they let you take the lead?
So finally, you guys, I was able to take the lead. I was able to realize that swiping isn't a commitment. It's just an experiment to prove that I can feel attraction.
So now you find this guy hot, he passed your test, your part's approved. Now what do you do?
I swiped right.
Yay! Finally. And what happened next?
Oh, nothing. You got absolutely nothing.
No, why not?
You guys, I was only swiping on the McSteamies, the McHotties, and I was getting no matches for weeks.
Really?
But I will say that was okay because I actually kind of felt a little bit reinforced.
How so?
Because the experiment was working, because I started proving to myself I can feel just sexual desire without having those filters on.
Oh, okay.
And I was also, I guess, kind of feeling like, okay, those people might not be into me, but that's fine because these apps aren't reality. And also, like, in person, I shine more. Like, I'm one of those people where when I'm applying for jobs, I'm like, just get me into that interview room and I will get hired on the spot. Like, my personality can overcome any sort of detriments my dating app might have for these people.
Yeah?
And so I was like, that's okay. This is just an app. I'm swiping no on people that are probably my perfect match, my soulmate in person, and that's okay. And I realized it's okay to just want someone for their physical attributes, for their body, for their face, even if they may end up being boring or entitled.
Yeah.
And it also kind of proved my point that I knew I wasn't hot enough for these hot people. Like, I knew I was swiping on all these hotties and they weren't accepting me. So I was kind of right about that one.
Well, not to dampen the energy, but I mean, it kind of sounds like you still believe that hot guys don't even want you or wouldn't want you. Is there maybe an insecure part that's still activated in your system?
Okay, I didn't even realize that. And now that you bring that up, you activated a lot of things because I'm having a lot of parts like going off in my head. And I guess it's really something, maybe healing is still needed.
Yeah.
Because wow, I didn't even realize that. I guess I can reframe my statement and say
Okay.
that my attraction is valid to these hotties, but that my match worthiness physically and viscerally isn't determined by an app. But wow, I guess I still have a lot of insecurities that I will bring up to my therapist. So thank you for that.
Just something I noticed and wanted to point out. But moving on, so what did you really end up learning from this whole dating app experience being on Hinge?
Okay, I will say overall, dating apps may not be for me. I spent more time on them unsuccessfully than successfully, that I'm not even having that much fun with it. But even though dating apps aren't for me necessarily, I've learned that desire is. I've started to learn what men I am physically and sexually attracted to. I've learned what relationship I am kind of looking for at this moment in time. And I've successfully regulated my nervous system to accept the fact that it's okay to just want. It's okay to be horny without filters. It's okay to be sexually curious without committing. And it's okay to just want a man to me simply because he's hot.
So then, will you be staying on the dating apps?
Maybe. I'm not going to delete my apps by any means, but my next experiment is taking this bar test to real life. I want to start smooching in person. I'll keep the apps in case one of those Hinge premium 10 out of 10 hunks sneak into my feed. But I don't know.
Okay, and if a 10 out of 10 finally smooches with you, how will your system react then? What will you do?
In person, that's going to be a whole other challenge. I guess I will just have to breathe, reassure my parts, and let them chill.
Yep.
And I will do an IRL swipe right. And maybe someday I'll let him rock my world.
Okay.
But for now, I don't know. In person, I still don't know what I'm attracted to. So if you see me making out with a 5'7" gremlin with good banter and facial hair, no, you didn't. I'm still trying to figure out what I like, but at least now you guys know why.
I love that. Well, we're wishing you the best and rooting for you on this whole dating journey. So thank you so much for sharing, because we're excited to see where your romantic life goes next.
Yay! Thank you so much.
But that's it for today's performance. Thank you guys so much. I'm JC. I'm backstage of our puppet theater, and I will be exiting left.
And I'm JC on stage, and I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you next time. Toodles!